Okay, what is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. My apologies for that technical difficulty, but we are here. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Just last-minute things had to get down here, but we are good, we are solid, we are here. We're broadcasting live on December 15th, 2023, halfway through the last month of December. Hope you are good. Please, if you're watching live, especially, or if you're watching the replay, tell us where you're chiming in from, and we will add you to the broadcast. So what's going on this week, everybody? What's been happening? What's going down? Lots of things happening as the holiday season is upon us now in full force. But as always, we want to do a few things. As always, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and subscribe and hit the notification button. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, too, if you are up to it, please advertise if you'd like to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host, which is the Morning Vibe, Prime Time with Aisha and Lala, Black Canada Talking, or the Dr. Vibe Show, please feel free to do that and contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then also join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Slow down, Dr. Vibe, today. Lots of things going on, so that's all good. And you'll get exclusive content and also be able to continue conversations offline. For example, Carolyn Nicole of the Energy Shack Juice Bar was with us on Monday. Always gets great response, always great engagement. So she covered the 4 things about, eating habits over the holidays. Well, she gave us those 4 tips. It's in the Discord group. So you can either try to find it by watching the replay, or you can join the Discord group by emailing me, and you have the 4 points there. So let's see who's chimed in already this morning. All right, FitNet's IQ Cam, otherwise known as KSFEYL RWFQ, is in the house. And then Black Canadian content creators, love it, love the background. And look, thank you. And if you're a Black Canadian content creator, I highly suggest that you join that group, doing wonderful things to empower, enlighten, and promote Black Canadian content creators around the world. And that is the driving force of Shirley. What is up, Shirley? Hope all is good. Also, Opal Inspired is in the house, growing her YouTube channel. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's good. So anyone have anything they'd like to share before we get our special friend on, Mr. Ray McMillan? He's going to be with us in just a moment. Oh, Fitness IQ Cam. Oh, wow. Twitter is connected on share. That's been going on for a long time, Fitness IQ Cam. That has been going on for a while. And you know what? I just thought about something. There's a platform I'm not broadcasting this to. So I got to do this right now. Thank you for reminding me. All right. There we go. I forgot to broadcast this on my Facebook page. So thank you for reminding me about that. So there you go. It is connected on StreamYard. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, no problem. LOL. There you go. It's all good. So, you don't see Ryan here. Unfortunately, Ryan is not going to be with us this morning. My co-host, Ryan Oneil Knight. Ryan's young son is not feeling well, so he is tending to that. So family first, which is most important. Okay. Ivan says, watching my mentor live for the first time. Wow, it's amazing. So Ivan, is Ray, I don't think I'm your mentor. It must be Ray who's your mentor. So that is fantastic. Hey, family, we're going to bring Ray McMillan on. Make sure you have lots of questions. Ray will be taking questions. We're going to be doing a recap with some of the conversation topics that he has been sharing with the Morning Vibe family over the last year. And I actually did some research. Ray was my first sponsor of any of the online shows, first continuous sponsor of the online shows that I do. And that goes back to April 2022. So I want to say thank you to Ray, Stefan, for believing in me for that long of a period in time, and also Ryan. So that has been great. So you know what? Let's bring him on. Let's just bring Ray on. And I know in the past, Ray may have had some broadcast challenges. And let's see if he has any today. Ray, are you with us? You got to unmute yourself. Okay, Ray's there. Hello, Ray. Can you hear us? Okay. Oh, I heard something there. Okay. Sounds like Ray is still having some broadcasting challenges because he's frozen. So we're going to bring him off screen for a minute. All right. So, hey, I'm prepared. So what do anyone want to chat about? Are any topics that people want to chime in about or get some? We'll do like a town hall. Any subjects people are wanting to chime in? Ivan, I'm speaking that Ray will be able to get. Oh, I think I saw something. Okay, let's try again. Ray, are you with us? Okay. All right.
Is there a feed okay, Dr. Vibe?
Okay. You are a little delayed. All right. Yo says good morning to you and your panel. Good morning, Yo. First time. Hey, if you're up to it, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification button. We are still having some challenges with Ray. Good morning, Serena from the DMV area. Hope you and your son are doing fine. I think so. Let's see. Ray, if you turn off your camera, can you hear me now? Ray? Okay.
Clearly.
Okay, so you're going to turn off your camera, and then we can hear you better. Can you hear me better now? Okay, I'm going to take Ray off screen for a moment, and we'll just go. All right. So Fitness IQ Kansas, we're about to have Sankofa Square. Okay. Okay, look for Guyana, Yo says. All right. All right. Anybody else? Would love any sort of comments. Oh, Ray. Bill Lauer. Good morning, Bill Lauer. All right. Yes. Bill Lauer from the U.S. fighting against Lou Gehrig's disease. Very, very nice. Good to have you here this morning. Anybody else? Yeah. Let's hear any comments, any things you've been up to, anything you want to have quick conversations about as Ray. Hopefully we get Ray overcome his technical challenges. Quiet audience. All right. Shirley, good morning, everybody. Saggy season. I don't know what you mean by that, Fitness IQ Cam. Please elaborate. Saggy season. I don't know what you mean by that. But good morning, Shirley, too. And as I said, we're speaking that Ray will overcome his technical challenges. Oh, yes. The Only Way. Yes. And The Only Way is a gentleman who, so thank you for that context. So as I'd mentioned, was it last Monday? I think it was last Monday, how myself and Dr. Tachi are blessed now to be hosting some conversations on Dr. Boyce Watkins' channel. The Saturday Night Show Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and Lala is now broadcasting live on the Fly Nubian Queen platform, which is a huge win for us, but also for everybody. And he jumped in on the conversation maybe 2 weeks ago, I believe. And so thank you for being here this morning. Oh, so you didn't hear about Dundas Square to San? Is that Dundas Square being changed to Sankofa Square? I hadn't heard that in the news. I heard some. This is in Toronto. One of the main streets is called Dundas Street, and they're wanting to change the name of that because of historical things. But I didn't hear anything about Dundas Square being changed to Sankofa Square. And that is, I'm interesting. That's very interesting, because I also hear that the Dundas Street subway station looks like it's going to be changed to TMU station, and that's Toronto Metropolitan University, which used to be known as Ryerson University. And Ryerson University, the gentleman was named from was a slave owner, so obviously they're wanting to change that. So let's see if Ray is good this time. Ray, are you with us now?
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Is this a lot better?
You're a little bit dark, but the audio is better. So we'll take you any way we can get you. Can you hear us okay?
Oh, yes, I can, yeah.
Okay, there's a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good.
Technology always seems to want to throw us a curveball. So
yeah, it's not treating you fairly.
If you give me 30 seconds, I can probably change the light.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to take you off screen. I'm going to take you off screen for a few minutes, and you change up the lighting. I'll be able to see. So go ahead. All right, we're back. Okay, so Fitness IQ Kansas, I'll send it on Discord. Great, I'd appreciate that. And Fitness IQ says it's Mercury retrograde as all. Okay, as well. Excellent. Yeah, I'm very, very interested in hearing about this Sankofa Square. That came out of nowhere about Dundas, because Dundas Square is one of the major areas downtown. Like Yonge and Dundas is like, I guess they want to model after Times Square in New York. So there you go. So let's just get this back up going here. But yeah, let me do a quick search on that, because I did not hear anything about that. So Sankofa Square. Let's see if I pull it up, if there's anything here. Yes, there we go. It is true. Toronto City Council approves Sankofa Square. All right. Yes. Well, there we go. Toronto City Council approves Sankofa Square as a new young dad and initiates plans to remove other city assets that include the. Wow. So that's pretty interesting news. Okay, and Fitnats Cam has also just added it to the Discord group, but it is official. It has changed to Sankofa Square. Wow, that is big. Well, symbolically, yes, very big. There you go. Oh, Serena says, loving the background. Thank you. I like to change up the backgrounds on a regular basis. So you like this one? So I'll hang this one up for a little while. Right. And Fitness Adkins is me sending to you. Yeah, I see it. And also, I just want to show it on the screen here. Give me a quick second. See if I can pull it up. No, I had. Won't be able to do it. We'll be able to, but it is official, because I just saw on the City Toronto digital press release that it is official. So Sankofa Square. So if you live in Toronto, what do you think about Young Dundas Square, now called Sankofa Square? Very interesting. All right. So I think Mr. McMillan is back. He's getting ready to sit down, and let's see if we can get officially into. Good question. Dion Lee Way says, will Sankofa Square be letting the ball drop New Year's like Times Square, New York City? Very good question. Very good question. All right. You know what I'm going to, no, you know what? You know what? I'm going to go to a little bit of a 90-second break, and then we're going to bring Ray back on. I think that would be the best, so he can just settle in properly. He is settling, but I want to just give him a little bit, few more extra moments so he can settle in, and then we can get to the conversation today. So we will be back in 90 seconds. We're speaking that Ray will be set up, technically sound. He already is present sound. So we'll see you in 90 seconds.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us, you know, the diversity, you know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. So we are back, and we're speaking now that we're going to have. Okay. Actually, what is the meaning of Sankofa? We will get to that, Shirley. No problem. Let's bring Ray McMillan to the stage. Ray, how are we?
Good morning, my good man. I think I'm doing a lot better now. I hope the audience can hear me clearly.
It's better. It's better. It's better. All right. And can you hear us okay? All right. Still seems that we're experiencing. There's quite a delay. Ray, can you hear us?
Video problems, it seems.
Yeah, there's quite a delay from when I say, okay, Ray, can you hear us better now?
I'm hearing a lot better now, yeah. Okay,
so leave your camera off. We'll go without camera. So let's try going this route. So how are things where you are today? Good?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
Good. Okay. So what we're going to do today is Ray is going to talk about some of the topics that he's chatted about over the last year on the Morning Vibe. If you don't know, Ray is on the third Friday of each month, talking about different aspects of real estate and real estate investing. So what we're going to have Ray talk about first is the whole area of gentrification. So Ray, as we go into the end of 2023 into 2024, what are your thoughts about gentrification?
we want to stop. Urban centers, North American cities were built in urban cores. These spreads around the city hall, and the streets that come off of that area, in the 18 and 1900s, you had the banking system, which is what the mercantile system. So gentrification is going to be a way of life, and it's a process or a byproduct of migration. So what you see happening is people moving in and out of neighborhoods because they may have certain deficiencies, and then not interested in commuting or sitting in traffic for hours at a time. With regards to Black folks, for us to understand how to take advantage of the process and not be on the fringe looking at. Because we speak of non-Black people moving into our neighborhoods and taking over the real estate, but we also have the opportunity to do the exact same thing. Most Black and Caribbean people, when they get to a certain point in life, they move far away from those urban cores. But you can't discount the fact that the urban core has all the infrastructure, and usually you can walk to most of the amenities. So we've got to step back and look at urban cores very, very differently. There are a lot of our celebrities who are doing that. There's a comedian, Mike Epps, who is buying property in some city in Ohio. I can't remember which city he's from. The rapper actor T.I. is doing the same thing in parts in Atlanta neighborhoods. So we as individuals have to start looking at those areas in the cities we live in and understand how we can get in to the redevelopment or gentrification neighborhoods.
Okay, so something I want to ask you though, we know that the price of real estate is always going up and up and up. And how can Black individuals take advantage of gentrification with the price of real estate always going up, 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 not getting any cheaper?
Yeah, I mean, and that's that part of the supply and demand. So the larger the city, the more amenities the city has, then the more expensive the real estate will be. I mean, you look at cities like London, Paris, New York, Toronto. They're the most expensive places in the world to live. How do we get in? I mean, we have to look for the opportunities, and we possibly have to partner. We have to partner up and take advantage. The large house, the individual family, and that is great. I mean, we all want to have a beautiful home for our families, but I think partnering up with your family, close friends, or even just an investor, take your time to research the cities, and if you can bring something to the table, then people will partner with you, right? So if you have the ability to research and find deals within an urban core, but it's somewhere in Virginia or somewhere in the Maryland area, and that you've got these deals and how they can monetize them, it's an opportunity for everybody to take advantage of the process.
Okay.
And gentrification doesn't happen overnight. I mean, just check with your local and see what permits are being issued. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask then, for our audience, whether they're watching live or on the replay, what are some tips that you would give in regards to getting into the gentrification marketplace? Because you said one of them was, finding the right people. Are there any other things that you'd provide as suggestions if someone said, if I came to you and said, Ray, I want to take advantage of this gentrification market. I want to get involved in creating revenue from gentrification. What would you suggest to me?
First, you have to research the neighborhood because gen specific, right? And usually, it's usually an area that has decayed where there's growth around it. And growth is usually a stone's throw away. And they tend to be spreading into this area that has suffered decay for probably 30 or 40 years. We've seen it in parts of Chicago, parts of Detroit, parts of Jacksonville, every American city. And unfortunately, those areas that are decaying are usually areas with larger Black populations, lower incomes, higher crime, a lot of social issues. So, as I said before, just before we broke, you have to go into what's happening. So if you've seen permits for expansions and you've got a local university in your neighborhood, for example, that is going to bring in a graduate program, whether it's in engineering or in law, then that gives you an opportunity to know that this is going to change that local environment, or they're going to build a new subway station or expand the subway station. Or new companies are coming into the neighborhood. Amazon is opening up a corporate office, or Google or one is opening a corporate office. And you're able to see the potential of a different type of employer and employee need in that area. And that will show you that there's a potential that property values will start to increase. So you buy decaying properties and you renovate them. You may have to tear down, rebuild sometimes. You may have to change the entire zoning from single family to small multifamily. And that's the kind of thing you have to look at. But there's a research involved to successfully take advantage of neighborhoods that are being gentrified.
Have you seen more Black people coming to you in regards to wanting to get involved in the gentrification market?
The numbers are increasing. I mean, we've got clients who are looking at opportunities outside of the GTA and other cities. Windsor is one. Windsor is the busiest border crossing possibly in North America. Government enters there. There's a lot of opportunity in the city. It's a growing city, has a pretty large population. Same in Niagara Falls. I mean, most people go to Niagara Falls just to go there for the tourism aspect of that city. But Niagara Falls is also a major border crossing. But the downtown decayed over the years because everything is focused on Lundy's Lane and the tourist areas of
Lundy's Lane. Yes.
If you go around to a lot of urban, you see streets that are just like ghost towns, right? But the population growing, with more immigrants coming into the country, with Toronto and Vancouver and the other primary cities being very expensive, many people are now moving away to areas where it's more affordable. And a lot of the urban cores have larger type homes. There are many units, or 2 units, or 4 units. So it presents a tremendous opportunities. We have quite a few clients who've been, visiting us to have those conversations, to how they can actually get in to stand in the process of gentrification and taking advantage of it.
Okay. Have some comments here. Just to catch up here. Frequency Event Promotion says, good day and all Frequency Event Promotions. Also, there's some other comments. Yo, I like that. Yo says, totally agree. Partnering is the way to go. Also, Frequency Event Promotion says there is a place just outside of Toronto, 7 hours away, selling plots of land for $10. A small town next of Timmins. This was reported on CTV News on December 13th, 2023. And then Serena says, Ray just described the U Street corridor in Washington, D.C. to a T. There started adding more restaurants and building up. That neighborhood became very gentrified over time. So there we go. So Ray is on point as usual. And thank you for bringing the comments. You can't see them, but you can hear them. Please ask your questions, add comments. This is our conversation. It's not my
apologies, folks.
No problem. So Ray, for gentrification, do you think it's still a good time to get involved in the gentrification market as an investor?
I mean, Timmins.
All right, Ray, can you hear us?
It's coming a bit choppy now. I'm actually hardwired. I'm not using Wi-Fi, so I'm not too sure why we're having all these challenges this morning.
No problem. You're still hearing us okay, though, correct?
Yes, I'm hearing you. The audience hearing me clearly?
Can the audience hear okay? So put in the chat wherever you're watching this live. Can you hear Ray okay? And Dion Lee Way says, educational to hear how our northern neighbors are doing. Thank you so much. That is great. And Ween Community Centers, hey, good morning. That was my question. This is a good time. So good morning, Ween Community Center. If you have any questions, I know you always have questions about this subject, so let's make it happen. So Fitness IQ Cam says they can hear you okay. Ween says they can hear you okay. Dion Lee Way says choppy. And Yo says yes. So 3 out of 4 will continue on. All right. So let's move on to another conversation topic that Ray had discussed over the past year. And let's bring it up here. Let me just find it. Mortgage arrears, mortgage defaults, and how to manage it. And this is something that we always keep a watch on, especially the U.S. Fed yesterday forecast that later on next year in the U.S., they're going to start dropping down interest rates. Ray, what is your thoughts about mortgages at the end of 2023 and looking into 2024? Okay, Ray, can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Yeah. This has been a very interesting year for a lot of homeowners and real estate investors. Rates rise significantly in a very short space of time. And while the rates aren't astronomically high historically, it has been a significant jump to the sub 2% interest rates the way they are today that many mortgage holders have gotten accustomed to. So we've had a lot, maybe not a lot, but we had a fair amount of people who have found themselves trying to manage mortgage arrears and potential mortgage default. And one of the first things to understand is what constitutes mortgage arrears or mortgage default. So when you buy a home or a condominium, there are a couple of things that are involved in that mortgage. The first is your principal and interest. The second is your property taxes. If it's a condominium, the next is your condo fees. For those in the US, HOA fees also can be included. And the last one is your home insurance, which is if the property is damaged by by natural fire, that the bank is protected. In terms, when people are facing financial crisis, many times in something. So you can be in default of your mortgage if you stop paying one of those things. The arrears part relates to the mortgage payments more so than the other three items. And a mortgage arrears is not 3 payments behind. The bank, your lender, can note you in default. There's just misconception that it's 3 months. Some lenders, in a shorter period of time, it can be 45 days. So it's important as a mortgagor, which is the person who has a mortgage, to go through your standard charge terms and your mortgage contract or agreement with your lender, and clearly understand what default and arrears mean you and your specific lender. And just don't make the assumption that it is 3 months. Now, if you are in arrears, you may want to contact your lender right away, as opposed to ignoring it and hoping it will go away, because it will only compound itself. And if anybody has ever been in arrears in a mortgage, right, and it's gone into a default situation where they've sent the file to the collection company and subsequently to the attorneys or their lawyers, the costs start to mount up very quickly. So you can have your payments in arrears. Let's say your mortgage is $1,500 a month, 3 months in arrears, that's $4,500 additional costs that can start to add up to that mortgage. So your 3 months payment of $4,500 can get to 6 or 7 and put you in even more extenuating circumstances. So do not ignore the lender's communications. Do not ignore the phone calls. And you work with a mortgage professional, you want to pick up the phone and have a conversation with that person. If you are uncomfortable with yourself, and you want them to help you navigate that process. Usually there's solutions. If the mortgage is insured by one of the defaults, Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, Sagan, Canada Guarantee, usually there are programs in place, companies, to help you manage any sudden changes in your income that can impact your ability to afford your mortgage at the end of the month, end of the week, with a conventional mortgage not insured, then you deal directly with your lender, and the lender will work with you most of the time, that process. So do not ignore it. We have a lot of clients come to us, 5 or 6 months into the process, it's already gone to the lawyers, they've already started post-sale proceedings. At that point, we can't really help you. The only thing you can do at that point is get a private mortgage. That usually gets very, very expensive. And if you have a problem paying your current mortgage at 4%, how are you going to pay a private mortgage at 8 or 9%? So we're not really helping you in that situation. We're just prolonging the agony. And at that point, you probably end up losing your home. But speak to somebody who understands, speak to a more professional, and try and get the right guidance to avoid you having a lot of unnecessary costs and possibly losing your home.
Got it. Okay. We have some comments and a question here. So Eunice says, rates will come down. Does anyone remember that in the early 1980s, interest rates were 18%? Some people may not know that, weren't maybe around or even born at that time. But yes, 18%. Also, Dion Lee Way says, Ray from Guyana, technical difficulties understood, sounding clearer now. Okay. Also, Shirley had asked about the meaning of Sankofa. Sankofa is a principle derived from the African people of Ghana that one should remember the past to make positive progress in the future. So there's your answer to that question. Also, there's a question for you, Ray. Yo says, looking from Guyana, my question to Ray, your observations being here for a short time, what beside real estate, restaurants, and what other investments do you think we should be looking into? So, Ray, do you hear us?
Well, my area of specialization, yes, I can.
Okay.
My area of specialized knowledge is real estate and mortgage financing. Us like Guyana is where we just sort of, you hear me, Dr. Vibe?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Yeah, what I was saying, I mean, reality is real estate and mortgage financing. That's where, I've spent, the last 3 decades of my life working in that sphere in Canada, the US, as an investor in many parts of the Caribbean, including Guyana, Jamaica, and a few other islands. But in any developing nation, there's tremendous opportunity, right? And Guyana is unique in that, we have now got oil in the ground. And anybody who understands where the wealthiest nations are in the world, countries that export oil, and with oil comes tremendous growth, right? Because the money is, at the same time, you've got a nation that struggling with resources, human resources, qualified personnel, proper infrastructure, banking infrastructure, and proper technology, as we see the challenges we're having right now with our Wi-Fi. So there's tremendous opportunity to invest in a country like Guyana. I was talking to a colleague a few weeks ago, and he visited Guyana for a couple of weeks, I think this year, and he said to me, Guyana is like Nigeria in the 70s. And if anybody has ever gone to Nigeria and Ghana, and just development in those cities, and those are mainly resource-driven nations. But I still think that the real estate opportunity is probably one of the best in Guyana. There's a lot of available land. They are building the road network. If anybody's familiar with the Caribbean, you usually have 2 roads running along the coast. You hardly can traverse the entire country, or So they are building a lot of roads now, which will allow you to navigate the city and connect with other small urban centers and rural centers very, very easily, which is going to open up a lot of land. And with that development, you will see immigration into Guyana. I read an article yesterday that on last count, there are 22,000 Venezuelans in Guyana. They're coming here mainly for jobs. Now, I don't know how many other people from other parts of the Caribbean, South America, and the rest of the world are coming to Guyana, but it could be probably 50,000 people coming into the country, which for a country like Guyana is a small country. That is a tremendous strain in affordable housing. So I'm still of the opinion that investing in small apartments, small multi-family units, small affordable housing is exploitation. It's a nightmare trying to navigate this country once you leave Georgetown. There is no state-owned, government-owned, or no proper public transit. It's all private. It's all minibuses. There's no regulation or guidance. So, proper transit, creating transit hubs, creating a transit system, whether it's larger buses that we have in North America, whether it's hovercrafts that we that can navigate the river system. We have a lot of large rivers. That will give us tremendous opportunity in terms of business ventures. And the other thing is the technology. Most businesses in Guyana are cash only. You go into a restaurant or a clothing store or boutique, you have to walk around without cash. So if you spend in, you're buying stuff, you can't tap your card. So for some of us who are in the diaspora coming back into Guyana, it's frustrating. Have to walk around with large sums of cash all the time. But there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this country. As you hear, you tend to see it. When you come on a 1 week vacation, it's difficult to understand what is happening, but you spend, you see a lot of opportunity.
Okay. Have another question for you, Ray, from Serena from the DMV, saying, what are Ray's thoughts buying property close to a university and renting out to students, the pros and the cons?
Oh, definitely a no-brainer. Many developers there are building purpose-built student housing. Where you're going from the old rooming house model, close to power university or between universities in your neighborhood, into building apartments, sort of like extended stay hotels. That's the model they use. You've got this little apartment with a kitchenette, probably 250 square feet, probably 300 square feet. Tremendous opportunity. The challenge with there's a challenge, however, trying to find property in those neighborhoods, because they're usually owned extensively by very few investors, individual and corporate investors. Right, so finding the ideal property is sometimes a bit of a challenge. The ones that actually make sense. The other challenge you have is the financing. If the building has been converted to what I want to call, quote unquote, a rooming house, and I use the word very, very carefully, then it becomes a challenge to get financed the traditional way through a major lender at the best interest. You have to put bedrooms in strange places to maximize the square footage. So it creates a bit of a challenge when you go to the bank and do an appraisal that this 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home is now 8 bedrooms with no living room and a weird kitchen. You know what I mean? So that will present a challenge when you get the appraisals done and the financing done. So most times you have to go into the secondary market to get it financed. So it's very, very important that you run your numbers, understand your debt service coverage, to make sure that your income, comes in, as coming in makes sense based on your expenses. Leases also, you want parents to guarantee those leases. You don't want, 18 and 19-year-olds signing a lease. You want to make sure your deposits are taken into consideration in case there's damage of the unit. We've all been in university, and we know what our university stuff. For most of us, I should say, I'm not say all of us, or for many of us. So you want to make sure that you've got the right protection in case there's damage. So the biggest downside will be the appraisal, and getting it financed the traditional way. You may need, it can be done. People are doing it all the time, so it makes a lot of sense.
All right.
You always got students every semester, every term, so
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the question. Excellent. So, Ray, do you have anything else you want to add to the mortgage arrears, mortgage default, and how to manage it? Any forecast, any suggestions for those who are in that situation for 2024?
Well, before the bank sends you a default letter, you as a homeowner should, because you have your household budget. Either you've lost your job, somebody's ill, you've got a spouse who has passed away and they don't have any life insurance, so we end up in arrears. So I mean, you know it's going to happen long before the bank does. You know what I mean? You know what your income and expenses are, and what you can afford and what you can't afford to pay for at the end of the month. So I think it makes sense to be proactive and go to your lender and let them know before that payment is returned by your institution, and start looking at solutions. I mean, many lenders offer payment options such as skip a payment or defer payments. So you can either skip once or twice a year, so it allows you to not have that payment returned insufficient funds, or you can defer the payment where you put that payment down to the end of the term. So if your mortgage matures in 24 months, and that's what the Canadian audience in the US mortgages are usually 15, 25, or 30 years. In Canada, we have from 6 years to 10 months. You can defer that payment to the end of the term. So your 5-year mortgage will not be 5 years, 1 month, or 5 years, 2 months, as you push that payment, that term out to in effect, defer that possibly delinquent payment. And don't ignore it. Don't ignore the communication. Speak to someone. Speak to a more professional. Speak to your local mortgage advisors. But in many cases, those solutions cannot be effective if the time period is prolonged and the situation starts to decay. It's like a bad tooth, right? If you don't fix it soon, you're going to put and that basically what mortgage arrears and mortgage default is a very, very painful toothache. You want to fix it sooner rather than later.
All right, fantastic. All right, we'll move on to another conversation topic: financing multifamily units. And it seems I'm hearing more and more people doing that this year. Did you hear more people doing that this year also, financing multifamily units?
Excuse me. My apology. This is something more Caribbean, African, and Black real estate investors need to spend more time understanding. Most of us are focused on buying single-family homes, small condos as investment properties. But the real money is in small apartments. Anything that's more than 4 units. I'm talking 5 units going up to very different. Buy a single-family home or a small multifamily. That financing process is based almost entirely on your strength. It means your credit profile, your income, and just all based on you. While with a larger unit, let's look at 20 units for example, right? The financing process is based on the income of the property, not on your strength anymore. You've got 20 units that are being rented at market rent or even below market rent. You create what is called a rent roll. And that is what the lender uses to analyze your ability to finance that property. Now, your credit is still also important. If you have a 500, you may have a challenge, but the 720, 780 credit score is not necessarily. There are also several programs through the FHA, which is the Federal Housing Authority in the United States of America, and Canada Mortgage Housing Cooperative, that assist real estate investors to finance multifamily units. Out a lot of challenges. The one thing we have is that the amortization on a multifamily unit can be significantly longer than the amortization on buying a single family home. For example, if you buy a single family home in Canada, your maximum amortization, which is the period you need to pay off the entire mortgage, is 25 years if your down payment is less than 20%, sorry. If it's more than 20%, then it's 30 years. Some of the non-bank lenders may push it up to 35 years, but on multifamily units or small apartments or large apartments, your amortization can be anywhere between 40 to 50 years based on the strength of the deal. So if you understand the math behind the transaction, you can find yourself in 20 units than trying to finance an $800,000 condo, which is not going to debt service property because your rent is probably around $3,000 and you got a half multifamily unit at $10 million. And you've got 20 units, renting them at $2,500 a unit. And if you do the math, you know, your monthly income, right, is significant, right? You're looking at probably what, $500,000 of revenue compared to doing the single family route. I hope my math is correct on that one. So, you know, we are trying to face of looking at multifamily units all across, and buying a house and renting a house in the basement. While it's a great start, it's not real strategic real estate investing. And the current environment we're in, where we had a sudden spike in interest rates, we see a lot of those type of very small investors. They're the ones who've been hurt the most because the margins are way too tight. I mean, you've got folks who rent, they're negative because they're putting money into it every month to afford it, and the hope is that the property appreciates in value, and they're banking on that equity as their investment. As a real estate investor, that is the bonus for me. I believe in cash flow real estate investing, where at the end of the month, you want to say, okay, I've got 10 units and they're making me $500 a unit. I've got rental income after all my expenses. But the property goes up by 4% or 10% year over year. That's amazing. And actually, my primary focus is on cash flow as opposed to equity. And multifamily investing allows you to really have the benefit of amazing cash flow because you have all these units that are, you know, giving you a margin of between, you know, $300 to probably $1,000 per door. So we have to shift and really try to understand the large sphere of real estate investing to really scale our wealth up in the Black community.
Yeah. So everyone, we're just here on the Morning Vibe this morning, and Ray McMillan is doing a recap of some of the topics he covered over 2023. And Ray is on the Morning Vibe every third Friday of each month, talking about real estate investing and other aspects of real estate. So where, you know, you don't see him, but we have him here. I want to thank everyone who's watching live or on the replay for hanging in there. It isn't the optimum technical, but you're hanging in there. Appreciate it. You're giving your questions. Fantastic. So let's move on to the next area that Ray wanted to share about: private lending, an alternative route to successful real estate investing. Ray, thoughts on private lending in 2023 moving into 2024?
Private lending is a tremendous opportunity as a real estate investor, particularly in cities very, very high. I mean, in the Greater Toronto area, the median house price, I think, is like $800,000. You have to come with about probably $175,000 to $225,000 to enter that market. Because you're going to need a 20-25% down payment. You know, in some parts of the US, you also have expensive real estate. Tenants can be very, very challenging. You've got, you know, calls for minor plumbing issues. You've got calls for auto maintenance issues. You've got if you have a multifamily, you got tenants who don't get along with each other. And if you were self-managing, then you can find yourself getting strange phone calls on your weekend while you're having dinner with your family, while you're on vacation. And it can be a lot for some people. So private lending allows you to invest in real estate without actually owning real estate. And what do I qualify for bank mortgages? And those aren't necessarily always bad deals. Sometimes it's an investor who is trying to close a deal or do a fix and flip or a buy and renovate, and they need that money for 6 months to a year, and they're prepared to pay 9 or 10 or 12 or 14% because they've already figured out their numbers. And then on the other extreme, there's clients who run into problems like arrears, for example, and they can't get bank financing, traditional bank financing, so they know that they have a solution. They probably plan to sell their homes in a year, or they know that their job situation will change, and they come to use an individual to borrow money. Now, the private lending can be done as an individual or as part of a larger group. They set up a corporation. Anybody who does it to have a corporation, right? I've dealt with many private lenders over the last several decades, and I'm not going to tell you what their persuasion was, but they had $1 trillion, and they would lend against it. Now, as a private lender, you want to be prudent. Excuse me, right? You want to be very prudent to what you're doing. You start the lending process, you have to determine before you determine what kind of lending you will do, you have to, I always tell people, first decide transactions you have no interest in doing before deciding what transactions you will do. Because once you determine what you wouldn't do, it is very easy to make a decision on your lending portfolio. So what do I mean by that? I'm not going to do condominiums that are smaller than 600 square feet. I don't care where it's located. I don't care what the value is. I don't care what the view is. Not interested. Right? I am not going to do student rentals because, family homes in major urban centers, and I'm not going to go beyond 75% of the appraised value in terms of my loan to value, which is the amount of money that is financed based on the property's appraised value. I am not going to go anywhere where the population is less than 25,000 people, because that means that if the population is very small, then the length of our properties, the time property takes to sell, can be significantly longer. I'm not going to get involved in fancy homes where they're very unique, and they've got very interesting designs, because again, the demand or the ease to sell that kind of home might be a bit challenging. So there, I've given some ideas of what to look for as a lender, and then you determine your fees. What my rate is going to be. Am I going to have my payments as interest only? If the client can't pay me off at the end of 6 months, a year, or 2 years, what is my renewal fee going to be? Or do I want to be paid out at the end of the year? Many private lenders prefer to be paid out because there is more to lend in that same pool of money every year. It's more profitable than renewing the mortgage, because between the lender fee and costs, it can be quite advantageous and profitable. Then you want to find a lawyer that you work with who understands real estate. You want a real estate to act on your behalf, because there may be cases where there is default or a rare situation, and you want to have your lawyer there for those situations. But it's a tremendous opportunity, and you want to sit with look at the pros and cons and decide whether it's a space you want to get involved in. And private lending can be done anywhere in the world. It's one of the world's oldest forms of business. I mean, the money lenders were back in biblical. So whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're in the US, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in parts of Africa. People always need money to borrow to finish a home, buy a home. And if you have access to a significant pool of money, then, I would recommend you look at it. And then decide, you want to decide whether you want to be in first position or second position or third position. And be very, very clear that, if you're doing first mortgages only, second mortgages only, or third, or a combination of all three. I usually advise clients who have, let's say, $250,000 or $500,000 to invest. I suggest they do small second mortgages, so you spread the risk. Mitigate came to me earlier this year after listening to this segment, and they wanted to invest. And they said, "Oh, we want to do first mortgage." And I asked them why. Well, I feel safer in first position. But if you've got and I use the word sparingly, if you have a smaller sum of money, let's say $1 million or $500,000, mortgaging a home for $600,000, and that mortgage goes into problems, then your risk is your exposure is tremendous. But if you do 20 mortgages at $30,000 each, right, your revenue, your return may be significantly more, and you spread your risk around 20 different properties. The risk you will face as an investor is very, very important, because in everything that is tied to real estate and lending, there are risks. And we need to understand what those risks are in order to take advantage of the opportunity of being in the market. There's tons of opportunities. We hear the stories of clients who can't get their mortgage renewed. People who've been stuck with new builds that they've bought and they can't get them closed. But do your research. Choose your geographic areas very carefully. Choose your property types very carefully. Get the appraisals done. You never lend money out on appraisal. If you work with a mortgage broker, make sure you work with one who is reliable, has a moral ethical compass. Make sure if they know the client that there's full disclosure. If they know if it's a personal relationship between them and the borrower, those things are very important. For probably 25 years, we have never lost a mortgage whenever we've had default situations, but we've managed to always remedy them where the lender came up without a bruise, and we're quite proud of that. But if you have the resources, you may say, where do I get the money from? To start, equity in your home. If you can leverage your home, but it's a little expensive to leverage the equity in your home. It may cost you about 8 or 9%, but you lend that money at probably 16%. So it still makes sense. If you've got $1 million equity in your home, then you can leverage that and lend it. It's an alternative investment vehicle for those who don't want to invest in the stock market or actually buy physical real estate.
All right, Ray, thank you so much. And again, thanks for everyone for hanging in there. In spite of the technical difficulties, we're having the thought process, don't get good, get done. So we got 2 more areas to go through. And again, if you have any questions, please enter them in the comment section and press enter, and Ray will be happy to respond to them. And this one is also right up Ray's alley. Should you build your home or buy your home in the Caribbean, where Ray is right now? So Ray, you're no better person than you to tackle this conversation piece. So go for it.
Yeah, I mean, there are many of us who live in diaspora who are and buying or building a home or coming back to the family home and renovating it and creating this magnificent home in this amazing tropical paradise. We go from Jamaica down to Barbados and St. Lucia to Grenada, Turks and Caicos, down to Guyana. So each one of these territories offers a unique blend of sun, sand, and an amazing quality of life if that is what you're interested in. One of the challenges a lot of people make, particularly people who come from some of the not so good areas in parts of the Caribbean, or that nostalgia and try to build a nice house in this very quote unquote impoverished or very rural environment. Um, and that sometimes is not always the best option. There are many builders throughout the Caribbean who build homes, picking the larger islands. So in Jamaica, you've got quite a few builders. In Guyana, you've got a lot of builders. In Barbados, there are builders. In the smaller islands, not so much. St. Vincent, Grenada, Dominica, Nevis, St. Kitts, much smaller places. So you may have to have a custom build yourself. So you really can't do a development and look and see what is being built and buy from a plan. The easier process is to usually buy your home. Real estate values in the Caribbean are all over the place. I think a lot of folks just pull a price out of simply quite ludicrous. Most people can't tell you what the value, where the value is in this property. I was recently speaking to somebody about a property here in the house is probably 2,000 square feet on a 35 or 40-foot lot. There's much more value. Many other parts of the world, in parts of the Caribbean, you look at a place like St. Lucia. You've got these amazing views on the North Coast. So you're buying something you can probably use to monetize it. So when you look at building or buying, you want to, first of all, what they want to use the home for. Am I going to use the home specifically for my own personal use, or do I plan to use it as a bed and breakfast? Do I plan to use it as a short-term? What other add-ons do I plan to do with the property? Do I plan to have, weddings inside, have a small bridge in the back where you can have the place landscaped with a beautiful flower garden and take photographs? So sometimes it might make sense to buy if you find that property. If you can't find it in the location that you want to and your family owns land, then you can build. Building in the Caribbean is not for the faint of heart. You have to be here through the entire process. You can't leave a building. You can't leave your builders and contractors to process while you are not here. You will have tremendous problems. You have to oversee every single thing that is done. You've got to, while they may have great contractors or great builders or great carpenters and masons, the finishes are not necessarily what we are accustomed to in parts of North America and Europe. So you want to make sure you're there. You want to make sure you price your stuff properly than what you're doing. If you're financing the project locally through a local bank, you need to understand that process. Loan terms are very different in the Caribbean than they are in the US and Canada and England. For example, if you're probably over the age, the bank may not want to do your loan for any longer than 10 or 15 years. So while in North America, you've got a 25 term or 25 year, if you're using the North American standard to do your financing and you don't understand what the local financing process is, you can find yourself having costs that you weren't prepared for because you don't understand the local banking system. Rates are also higher, somewhere around 8% interest rate. So you know what you're doing. Get references. When you speak to a contractor, you want to get references. If they've done a project somewhere, you see the quality of their work. Very few people here have websites, and that's throughout the entire Caribbean. You can just go to their website, and the modus operandi for most business people in the Caribbean is a Facebook page that is usually very poorly managed. So you can't really find anything. There's no Google reviews for most people. So you don't know whether the person's a good contractor or they're a con man. You know what I mean? Or whether they're good at what they do or they're very poor at what they do. So you've got to get on the ground. You've got to spend time. You can probably build a place between months. 1,500 square feet. The larger you get, the more nicer finishes you want. It can take you a year to do it. So you have to be able to spend and do that. My advice is if you can spend extended periods of time in the Caribbean, then you want to shut that project down, have it and recommence it when you return, because you're going to come back and find a lot of problems. I had to learn about the density of mixing cement. If there's structural issues, so there's a lot I had to learn trying to do the building process here in Guyana. I'm not a contractor. I tended to manage the project a lot easier because of my knowledge from the finances side and understanding the numbers of what the cost of labor is in the US and Canada. It was easy for me to understand the cost here in the Caribbean, both in Jamaica, Barbados, and Guyana and Grenada, and put in perspective to understand whether there was value for my money, right? I know in Jamaica there's tremendous builders who are building many parts of the island. You go to places like Mandeville, the North Coast, through ways to Montego Bay. There's a lot of builders building some tremendous homes. They've got that Florida feel, but they're pricey. They're starting around $400,000 to $500,000 US. So if you're in that budget range, then and you want to just get it done, then you just go buy. But if you're a budget challenge, you can probably build the same house for $150,000 US. It'll take you 2 or 3 years to do it if you can't spend 6 months or a year here in the Caribbean to do it. But have a local team, speak to the stuff, go to the local suppliers for your tiles. If you want to ship all your stuff in, that's fine. You can ship all your items in. Understand what the tax implications are and dealing with the local revenue authorities and those items, whether you have strictly concessions or not. There's a lot of stuff you need to figure out. If you're repatriating Guyana or repatriating Barbadian, then you have a lot of tax concessions, so allow you to ship stuff in. But understand that process. So you have to hit with a lot of duties and tariffs when you bring your stuff in, and they don't tell you trying to sell the stuff and it's not for personal use. It's a very satisfying experience to buy or build a home in the Caribbean. I mean, for us who have a Caribbean connection, whether our parents were from the Caribbean or grandparents, are we born there? Are you want to commence? For me, it's home. It's the one place I call home is the Caribbean. For me, it's Guyana. That's where I feel the most at home.
All right.
I think for many of us, when we come down to these parts of the world, we all have the same.
All right. So we're going to get to our final conversation topic. And finally, we're talking about navigating private mortgages as a borrower.
Yeah, this is a very important subject. I mean, many people get into private mortgages or private mortgage scenarios without quite understanding thing about having a private mortgages. It's having a predetermined exit strategy. Do you plan to sell the home, or do you plan to return to the institution and consolidate your private second mortgage, most times with a first mortgage, or get a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or get a collateral mortgage from a lender, drop your rates, and go back to a comfortable payment situation. We meet clients all the time who come into the office and they tell us they don't know why they got a private mortgage, or they don't understand, or they don't understand the fees they were charged. But everything is clearly disclosed, right? It is imperative to the borrower to be aware of what they're signing. I mean, you're signing multiple documents. You're in the space you're not familiar with. You don't take your document lawyer and have them reviewed. A lawyer that and perhaps you trust. If you don't feel comfortable dealing with a lawyer that the mortgage professional or the lender is using, and it's dependent on you to understand what you're doing. You want their fees, what the broker fees. You want to understand what the interest rate is. Is it interest only? Is it principal and interest? If it's the cost, and more importantly, at the end of the term, what are your options? Most private mortgages don't include a renewal clause, sorry. They want their money paid in full at maturity date. And we see it all the time where he wants to sell my home and he's putting pressure on me. Well, he told you he wanted his money back on December 31st, 2023. He had no intention of renewing the mortgage. You probably did not read that clause, or you probably thought he wasn't serious. It's important to understand that. It's important to work with a mortgage professional who is trustworthy, who is licensed, and who has your best interests when they're doing this, the private mortgage for you. It's an expensive alternative. It is not necessarily beneficial to be a borrower from a private lender. You're paying the highest interest rates and your fees to lender and broker in many cases. The more delinquent that person's credit score is, the more efficient the real estate is, the more expensive it is going to get for you to borrow money, which is very unfortunate. I mean, clients who are in the worst financial situations, no one seems to be cognizant of their circumstances, and they tend to find themselves paying the highest interest rate. So a letter of intent to offer you financing it's usually between 3 to 5 pages. I would suggest you go through it with a lawyer. The fee, if he's not closing the deal for you, maybe a few $100, $400 or $500. It's money well spent, because they will give you a very clear indication of what that document entails and how it can affect you negatively if you can't meet the conditions in the future. Usually the lender will require a retainer from you after they will usually work with their own lawyer. Most lawyers, not most, they recommend what is called ILA, which is independent legal advice or independent legal counsel, where you guys have your own lawyer review the documents, where you sign. What happens many times is that the lawyer, if they're a big law firm, or they do a lot of private transactions, and if there are other lawyers in their building or in the office, they may have another lawyer. If you have your own lawyer, you use them. If you're not sure where to find the lawyer, you can go to the Law Society's website and look for lawyers who specialize in real estate transactions in your neighborhood. Open up their profile, see if there's any red marks against their name for shady behavior or any suspensions, and just call them. See if they have the capacity to accommodate you. We have a whole company of lawyers we work with. We always meet with lawyers, some of the best in the Greater Toronto area. So while we have lawyers who are retiring, we've got new lawyers joining our complement all the time as partners we work with, and we can always refer you to a lawyer. We give you 2 names, you call them and work who you're comfortable with. We don't get any referral fees from anyone. I mean, lawyers, that is. So there's no vested interest in us to refer you to any individual lawyer over the other. But it's important, as it's incumbent upon you as a borrower to carefully read those documents when you take a private mortgage. It's very, very important. Don't wait until you're ready to you at maturity to start trying to figure out what your next move is going to be. You have to have a predetermined exit strategy, unless you end up renewing that mortgage or going into another private mortgage and getting a whole lot of fees charged to you. in a private mortgage but not a lender. One of the concerns is that they're taking on a problem. So it usually it's a bit more challenging to go from one private lender to another at the end of the term.
Well, Ray, we made it. We made it. Oh my goodness. Ray, thank you for hanging in there today. Any last thoughts from you before we let you go?
Yeah, it's been I think for us, I think for anybody who has lived through 20, and if, whether they're a homeowner, they're planning to buy a home, or they were managing debt, whatever they were dealing with, have a financial plan. Speak to a financial planner. Get a mortgage. Get a mortgage plan in place if you just. Sometimes you need a wake-up call, and the events of this year with the the very fast rise in the bank's overnight lending rate, I think it's something many people needed. It's what I would call a wake-up call. A lot of folks got mortgage companies. So I think it's time to step back and not try to wing it. And what the last year has shown us is that those who are just trying to wing it end up in a lot of problems. I mean, we've got, so have a plan. Make sure if you're married or you're in a relationship that you and your partner are on the same page. We meet a lot of clients many times where one spouse is doing one thing and the other spouse has no interest in that process. That's recipe for disaster. Marriage is a partnership. If you deem it business partners or you invest in this as a group, make sure you have a vote on whatever you're doing so that everybody's on the same page. Just to wing it. But I think it's important for us to have a plan. It's in all the chaos is opportunity. Property values are down. I looked at some numbers today in Jacksonville, Florida. Year over year, values are down 10% in many of the markets. That's a great opportunity, buying opportunity, right? You're buying a home for 10% less than you could have bought it last year. The renters are stagnant or increasing. So you really understand and filter the news. Remember, the news is very general. The news is not our first subject for this today was gentrification. Gentrification is very geographic specific, right? It's not a global thing. It's not, you can't look at the entire city as a model of gentrification. It's usually a very specific neighborhood. Same with financial. They would take, the median price is $800,000, but it's across the entire country. So what is the price in Ontario? What's the price in Sudbury? What's the price in Charlotte, South Carolina? You know what I mean? What's the price in? But you have to dig deeper. You got to go deeper into the information to get what is pertinent and important to what you're trying to accomplish. So I am not a big listener of a lot of the news. I don't have cable. I don't watch media news. I'm not interested in any financial pundits prognosis because it's a very generalized conversation. And if you don't understand the landscape, you get consumed by that noise and you miss out on real opportunities. So I would suggest you figure out what you're trying to accomplish. Find your team of professionals. You've got a more professional, you've got a financial advisor, an insurance person, an attorney, and have a plan. Where do I plan to be at the end of 2024? And what are the things I need to do? Turn the noise off. There's a lot of noise out there, a lot of chatter. So try to ignore it.
Excellent. Let's just do some things before we let Ray go. Dion Lee Way says, first live morning show. Appreciated, good information. Thank you again. Have a great day. Well, Dion Lee Way, I hope you have subscribed to the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel. That's how you found out about it. So I'm hoping, speaking that you have. So thank you so much. Eunice Graham says, great information, especially for our young people trying to get into the market. And she also says, have a blessed weekend, everybody. Let's see. I think your number one fan, Serena, says, this has been helpful in many ways. Have a great holiday, Ray. Thank you for sharing so much wisdom this year. And she also says, have a great weekend, everyone. So absolutely want to say there's Ray's contact information, Canada number, US number, toll-free North America number, website address, and also email address. I'm not going to say, oh, now Ray comes on the screen. So, and I have shared the contact information on my platforms, the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and also the ACBN Facebook page. So if you don't see in your comments, it is up on your screen, and I have posted periodically through the conversation. So let's say here, frequency, have a great weekend, everyone, and all. Fantastic. So Ray, thank you so much. Have a great day. All right. Okay, we made it through. So again, my apologies for the technical difficulties, everybody, but we did make it through. So that's the most important thing. So a few things coming up on Monday's show. We have anti-Black racism psychotherapist. I should not psychotherapist. Should take that off. It should be therapist, not therapist. There's only one David Archer that we know, allegedly. Okay. So we're going to do that. So let's correct it up here. Anti-Black racism psychotherapist David Archer will be back on Monday's show. So make sure you catch that. Also, a few last things. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification button so you get notified of upcoming conversations. We're going to be doing more before the end of the year, no doubt. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. 2, if you'd like to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host, please email me, dr.vibe@the.drvibeshow.com. And again, join the Morning Vibe Discord group where we continue the conversation in between conversations. As Fitness IQ Cam said, she's already posted a story about the changing of Young Dundas Square, which is the main meeting center for in Toronto, has now been changed to Sankofa Square. We'd like to see what thoughts you have about it. I'm going to put some feedback on it. We'll see what happens. So that is that. And we're showing at the bottom, if you want to watch repeats of this epic conversation called The Morning Vibe, the Dr. Vibe Show, Facebook and YouTube. Also Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube. And then Ryan Oneil Knight, YouTube and LinkedIn. So that's that. Second last weekend before this holiday they call Christmas. So let's leave with this. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Have a great weekend, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you on Monday. Oh, tomorrow night, Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and Lala, the last live one of the year. So don't miss it if you're available. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and walk good.